So I've been asked this question more than once. My RC helicopter stopped working the other day. It won't get more than 2 or 3 feet off the ground and it just spins out of control. It worked fine yesterday, and now it just doesn't seem to want to work.
No matter what you try and do to fix it, nothing seems to work.
The batteries are charged, the controller seems fine, everything seems fine, but I can't figure out what the problem is. This is actually a very common problem with small 2 and 3 channel RC helicopters. One of the first things you're going to want to do is spin the blade around in your hand slowly and see if you feel any resistance. Now you'll notice it'll click slightly and it'll push against your hand just a little bit and resist just a little bit. Now these RC helicopters are designed in such a way that any resistance in the gears is a bad thing, and it's going to actually draw extra power from the motor, it's going to damage your battery slowly, and it's going to make it so the helicopter just isn't properly balanced and can't get out of the sky. Now if you do spin the blade around in your hand and you notice small amounts of resistance or a small clicking sound, you're going to want to go ahead and open up the RC helicopter and try and figure out what the problem is. Now this is a syma S008 and it has this very same problem. The lower set of rotors have a clicking sound and don't quite spin the same as the top set of rotors. So we're going to go ahead and open her up here. Just get a small screwdriver. I like to get a nice magnet to try and keep the screws so I don't lose them. Most speakers have a magnet in it, that's why I'm using this little MP3 player. It's got a magnet in its speaker and I just hold the screws with that. Now, most RC helicopters are pretty easy to pull apart. Sometimes you may have to get a razor blade and cut it open if it's made with styrofoam. It's one of the reasons I like plastic RC helicopters, is because you can usually unscrew them and just pull them apart. You'll see first we pull off all these screws. The front panel slips off pretty easily, and the side panel slips off pretty easily. You want to be careful with the tail wires not to break them. Now once you pull the RC helicopter apart, and you look at the gears and you notice one of the gears is clicking, you're going to want to go ahead and find a replacement gear. Now I happen to have another RC helicopter over here that has a bent shaft, and I know it still has a good gear because I can spin it around and there's no clicking. And these gears are actually pretty universal among RC helicopters. So surprisingly enough, you will be able to pull one off one RC helicopter and put it on another pretty easily. You just take a small screwdriver, pry the gear off. They usually come off pretty easily. And then you pry the other gear off. Put your new gear back on. Go ahead and spin the rotor around, see if you notice any clicking. If it spins smooth, that means you've probably just fixed your problem and your helicopter should fly just fine. Now let's go ahead and put the RC helicopter back together. Again, you want to be real careful with these tail wires, make sure not to break them. Go ahead and put the shell back on. Make sure everything's lined up. Put your front cover back on. Put your screws back in. Go ahead and charge your RC helicopter back up and see if it flies. And amazingly enough, it worked with this syma S008. It flies just like it used to. It does help to cycle the battery once or twice. If the helicopter's been sitting unused for a long period of time, it does help to cycle the battery. You want to go ahead and drain it down, not all the way down, but you want to use it for a few minutes and then recharge it back up and get a nice good fresh charge. I hope this helps solve your problem with your RC helicopters. I do thank you for watching RC 101 with the Taoist Flyer. Tune in for more fun RC videos.